15. Oh, and very late.
Welcome back to Sigulda in Latvia, the track that you take the elevator to the start of. There is the big start tower and that elevated first couple of corners, one of the signature views of this race facility. And welcome back to the final day of sliding for the 2025 calendar year. It's the fourth race weekend of the IBSF Bobsleigh and Skeleton World Cup, and we have 3 more to follow in hot pursuit in the first weeks of January leading into our Winter Olympic Games. And this is going to be a bit of a challenge again this morning as we get ready for the first heat of our Women's World Cup competition. Short start ramp, you need to be very explosive. It goes quickly downhill. It's not a sprinter start, it's a power start. Long corner 1, you're still 30 feet above the ground here. And corner 2, those 2 long straights, so easy to give speed away. And out of 3, try and avoid the tap into 4 if you can. Through 5, 6, important transition. And then down through 7, 8 and 9 were at ground level. See the track right beside us, the road right beside us. Corner 10 and 11. Now 11 is a double pressure corner, leads you into this vital 12 and then 13, 14 crossover. 14 leads you into a long straight down to corner 15, don't skid or tap. Come in on the left in 15, one pressure, uphill and flat into 16 and uphill through this 270-degree kreisel to the finish line. It's a short track, and with its 16 corners, there are at least 16 places to give speed away. And this is the archetypal, it's not the driver who drives the most track. It is the driver who makes the fewest mistakes. It's where you drive and how you drive. If you're wrestling it in the corners, speed will fall off the sled. So everybody limbering up on what is unusually not a frosty area below the start. Normally it's pretty cold and icy here, certainly by this time of year. We've been here in December before. There's been inches of snow and ice, rained, and it's pretty foggy for the last few days. So the track is very frosty. Just looking at it this morning, walking up the track, and there's about 1/4 of an inch of frost crystals on it at the moment. And that is the overnight cold of the track and the humidity in the air. Like when you open the icebox on your deep freeze, the warm air comes in and immediately the moisture in it starts to form ice crystals, and that's exactly what happens on the track. And in the same way that licking the pole of the chairlift in Dumb and Dumber leaves you stuck to it, that happens to the runners as well. They do stick to the frost. Now there are 19 sleds in our first heat with a debutante and a returning driver, and Great Britain's Adele Nicol gets the best of the start draws. She goes out first from Maya Voigt and Wai Ming Ming. Expect the medals to come from somewhere in the middle of the cluster. Lauren Alter maybe, Lisa Buchwitz, Kim Kalicki of Germany, Kaylee Humphreys has had one medal on this track. Alana Myers-Taylor has won on this track. We'll wait and see what our two heats bring. Getting the final race of 2025 underway for women's bobsleigh, Great Britain's Adele Nicol and Kaya Placide. Adele, a silver medal winning brakewoman on this track with Misha McNeil back in January 2022. And in her new career, starting her 13th World Cup race, where she can see where she's going. At least that's the hope. 5:41 is the start. Start record is 5:21. And even in perfect conditions, Adele is not yet recuperated enough to get close to that. Nice transitions early on. It's a little hard for these two-man sleds, the speed they're doing these days, to get on and off these corners there. Short, it's an old track built by the builders of the Sarajevo Olympic track. It was built for the Soviet Union, and all of their sliders were from Latvia. Nice run out of 14, up to 15. Nice run out of 15, up to 16. A clean run for Adele, 51.48. She has to make use of that fresh ice. It has had a spritz, so it will be smoother and faster and less sticky and grippy than in previous, or that it will be later in the heat. And so a good opportunity for the early few starters to take advantage of that before the track starts to slow. She didn't get her feet in cleanly there. Not the neatest of loads, but not too much of a drama. And again, tucking her head down out of 14, seeing more and more drivers doing that, just dipping the head. When you know where you're going, you don't need to look. Well, there's Kaya, Adele with us. And one of their great women from last year, Fabi, coming out to see the team for the weekend, catch up with old friends. Maya Voigt with Sophia Bonder, and Voigt, the young Dane, the Youth Olympic champion in women's monobob. Only here for the first time this week, so very limited number of runs in training. 3 in mono, 3 in the 2-seat sled. She gets in very early. She was clearly very unwell yesterday, and understand that she's had a stomach bug for the last couple of days. And to say that she's feeling as weak as a kitten is probably to do a kitten a disservice. Last thing she wanted to do yesterday was race the monobob. Same thing today. And unfortunately, when you're feeling pretty rotten, keeping your head clear for these high-speed runs is not easy. So this is about showing up and earning the points rather than lying in bed and not earning the points. This is trying to qualify a Danish sled for the Olympic Games. All in all, not a bad run up until that stage, just rolls out of 15. Now that sled should hopefully just cross the finish line, because, yes, she does get a time. All right, in that case, she has the opportunity to go again. 15 is a really tricky corner. They hit it at 75 miles an hour. It's up and out. It's that quick. It's a second from on to off. And if you come in offline, and she did a fraction there, your height comes down too soon. And then if you don't grab it, if you don't hold the sled up, see, she's steering down. A little more experience should have known just to hold it a fraction longer and then bring it down later. She came down too early, and centrifugal force is still pushing the water to the bottom of the bucket, shoves the sled out, and then it's just a vertical wall. You see, Sophia Bonda could not hold herself in the sled. She's sliding down on her helmet and on her shoulder. Well, Maya is out, Sophia is out as well. They'll be checked over by the medical crew. German team down there with them. And the track workers will get the sled out. There'll be a mandatory 5-minute track hold to allow the sled to be cleared and to allow the crew to be examined to make sure that they're okay. The track workers get a chance to make sure that the ice is okay as well. And so a little bit of a delay for Wai Mingming and Wang Chuan of China. Not the first crash of the week. 15 is a tricky corner, whatever you're sliding. Bobsleigh, skeleton, luge. It's so fast. 75 miles an hour. You cover the, what is it, 40 meters, 50 meters maximum in a very short space of time. And as a result, if it's wrong going in, the chances are it's wrong coming out as well. You need a lot of experience just to have that instinct, because there's no time to think. By the time you realize it's too late, it was too late. Well, Maya Voigt, beg your pardon, Maya, not been her week at all. The problem with being ill when you're an athlete is the things that normal people go to the pharmacy and get over the counter, most of them have things that you're not allowed to take as an athlete. So when you are ill, you tend to be ill. And whether it's a heavy cold or a flu, you just can't take all the over-counter remedies because they have all sorts of things in that are on the banned list. And you have to be extremely careful about what you're taking into your body in terms of additives in medicines. What's the slapping your legs all about? It's to try to keep the blood close to the surface in the muscles, to try and keep that heat in the muscles. They've warmed up, they've come to the line, the sleds come up in the elevator, they're ready to go, and wait. And that allows the cold and the damp to seep into the muscles, and that is not good for performance, but also it's not good in terms of muscle health, tendons and muscle tears and all that sort of stuff. So they've been given the 1 minute to go, and the sled is rolled over onto the ice. Why isn't it on the right ice at the whole time? Because that will make the runners colder than they need to be, and colder runners don't run as quickly over the ice. That expression, a hot knife through butter, a hot knife goes through butter quicker than a cold knife because it starts to melt the butter. And that's exactly what happens with the runners. The pressure of the sled on the runner basically just melts the ice a fraction, and that reduces the friction. And the warmer the runner is, then the quicker that process happens, the lower the coefficient of drag is with the ice. You're not allowed to heat the runners. They have to be basically at air temperature. That is measured before the run. And occasionally in St. Moritz, particularly on a sunny day, the runners are too hot, and we have seen sleds disqualified. Getting our women's bobsleigh race back underway here in Sigulda. Wai Mingming and Wang Juan of China. Wang, the brakewoman, in her 20th World Cup start. And it's a quarter of a century of women's bobsleigh races today for driver Wai Mingming. 5:33 getaway, quicker than the 5:41 of our leader at the moment, Adele Nicol. Now let's see if she can piece together a good run. This has been a good track for Wai. Her best ever World Cup race result is a 4th place finish here in January 2022. Now, can she produce that again? Didn't have a great time in the monobob. 2nd best speed, but still in the green by a whisker. Now she drops behind, and that extra 5 minutes will have allowed the track to frost up a fraction. And that means if you're not following in the runner marks of anybody else, and the track will be a little slower. Wasn't a bad looking run, 51.71. Let's see where that leaves her. One thing that nobody will have to worry about is whether or not they get a second heat. Normally the second heat will be the fastest 20 sleds in the field. There are only 19 here. No Bree Walker, for instance, she raced in the monobob yesterday, is not doing the women's bobsleigh race today. Nice exit out of 14, not too late. Just about keeps it straight down to 15. You're crossing over there, you come out on the driver's right, you want to come on to the driver's left. And again here out of 15, nice exit. That's ideal, straight down the middle of the tubes, no skid from the rear end. Now for Switzerland, Inola Blatti. First time here on this track. Behind her, Selina Louise von Jakowski. 2nd World Cup start for her, made her debut last week in Lillehammer. Inola in and down, and a 5:39 start. We've had 2 5:41 so far, so that's another quicker getaway from the Swiss duo. So a slender advantage, immediately turns into the red by corner 6. Through the upper labyrinth, 7, 8, 9, and then whipping on to 10 and off again. 10-11 transition is critical because 11 is the key to speed all the way down. She rattled the wall into 12. 13, 14 is a key transition for keeping that speed alive. Good exit out of 14, same as in the mono. 2nd best speed, excellent out of 15. Straight as a die, nicely onto 16. 3rd best speed, she's going to be behind at the line, 4/10 back. Now, what have people done in terms of runners? So the runner thickness, how wide it is in contact with the track, has grown over the years. It tends to be a sort of 6.5 to 6.75 millimeter width. So basically the sort of the width of your first finger or your second finger, but on a frosty track where you want not to be skidding, have they gone for a slightly narrower runner? Might help cut through the frost a fraction. The track temperature isn't very high though, and a narrower runner will tend to sink into the ice a little more, cause more drag. It's not rocket science, but there is a refined skill to it. 90th women's bobsleigh start for Alana Myers-Taylor, and a first for Jaden O'Brien behind her. Jaden, a heptathlete and pentathlete, now goes to Notre Dame. Dad played in the NFL. Her mum ran track like all good young athletes. And this is her first official bobsleigh race. They get away in 5:31. So Jaden joined the program last year and having her first World Cup start here in Sigulda of all places. That's a baptism of fire, isn't it? Little bump, Not a bad looking run from Alana Myers-Taylor, still holding just about a 1/10 of a second in hand. Second best speed, Adele Nichols being quickest all the way down. Alana a little late there, and a flop off 14. She didn't get that right in the mono, still not quite right in the two-seat sled. Slender advantage, didn't have the speed. Fourth best speed into 16 at the line, a 1/10 of a second back. So landmark 90th start as a driver for Alana Myers-Taylor, plus 15 World Cups as a push athlete. And welcome to the circus, Jaden O'Brien. She's done a lot of helping out, a lot of sled dogging, probably sanded more runners than she's ever thought possible. Now she gets her first race. So Alana, a winner on this track. In fact, her most recent World Cup win in women's bobsleigh was in Sigulda in January 22. All right, one and more to go. Next up is our race winner last year, Lara Nolter. She's had 4 wins here. She's had 3 wins out of 3 starts this season, making her 3rd start behind her, Leonie Kluvig. Leonie made her debut here with Lara Nolter and took gold. And Lara and Leonie have matched up twice for gold medals. 5:26 getaway, that's a good strong start from Nolter in her 45th World Cup race. 1500s up at the start, out to 1700s. Lara Nolter really in a good place in the mono and in the women's bobsleigh so far this season. She's our reigning Olympic champion. She will go to Milan Cortina as one of the hot favourites. If you want to get some money on, I suggest you try now before the bookies really start to look at it, because there's not going to be much odds. All wrong side coming into 16. Second best speed, and just behind Adele Nichols at the line. Kind of drifted away a little. Empirically, a nice looking run, but has the track really started to slow down already? Her biggest advantage, corner 6, she was 1700s up, and that just kind of went away a little bit. So one hand on the push bar, one hand on the cowl, everybody getting in safely this time. Last time out in Lillehammer, almost everybody was clipping the cowl or straddling the sled or dangling legs. Out of 14, a little to the left, and just drove it over to her left-hand side. Next up, Melanie Hassler for Switzerland. Her 39th World Cup start and the 33rd for brakewoman Nadia Pasternak. Not bad considering she had a season off to become a mum. 2 bronze medals, including a European bronze as well on this track for Mel. 5:26. She knows how to get a sled down here quickly. Matches Lara Nolter for the start. So again, 1500s quicker than Adele Nichols. Not being able to start quickly is really going to annoy Adele. Talking to Nadia Pasternak yesterday morning at breakfast, and she was saying that she pulled her back in training in the gym and was a little bit worried about the push starts today. Just does not want to aggravate any injury. In the red, out of 14. Good run from 14 to 15. Good height in 15. Clean exit. Can she bring it back? Nicely into 16. Only the 4th best speed. And across the line, 51.63. 1500s back. Well, we've got 2 or 3 more really top drivers to go before we say the track is not quick enough. But right now, is the track really slowing? Did that number 1 start draw help Adele Nichols? Again, Melly not getting in. Getting her knee hooked up on the cowl. The last thing you want. Driving it late off 14. That brings her over towards the wall. No big skid. Again, look, popping ahead above the cow. Where's 15? There we go. And then sinking back in. Technique so many drivers are using now. Not just the women, the men are doing it also. Now, with Lisa Buchwitz, Lauren Siebert making her 5th World Cup start. Her last in a World Cup race was Altenburg, December 2024. So a year ago, Lisa Buchwitz, her 24th start as a bobsled driver. In and down, this should be a quick one. 5:18, a new start record. All right, not much wrong with the start area. Nothing wrong with Lisa Buchwitz and Lauren Siebert. Lauren Alter and Deborah Levy had the start record at 5:21. Lisa tied her own start record in the second heat of the mono yesterday, and she's grabbed a new start record now, and with a bigger lead than anybody at this stage over Adele Nicol. 2100s up, but only the 3rd best speed. 13:14 will decide it. Out of 14, takes a hit, 2nd best speed. 1300s up. Low line in 15, hits the wall uphill into 16. 3rd best speed into single digits. At the line, 400s ahead of Adele Nicol. 2 thumbs up from Matthias Höpfner, the coach. And so it should be. Big start for Lisa Buchwitz and Lauren Siebert. And where you have the opportunity, where there are a number of pushers, this is a track where you want to get like a discus thrower or a hammer thrower or somebody who's got that explosive power rather than a 200, 400 meter sprinter maybe. It's not a long start. You've got to get it off the block like a drag racer. So Lisa Buchwitz leads from Adele Nicol and Lauren Alter. And next up is Germany's 3rd pilot, Kim Kilicki. Annabel Gallander behind her makes her 1st World Cup start of the season, her 11th of her career. And again, like Lauren Siebert, the last start she made in the World Cup, Altenburg, back in December last year. She has been racing on Europe Cup, bringing herself back to fitness with some of the junior program sliders. 5:36 the getaway. Well, Kilicki's never been off the podium here in 7 World Cup starts. 1 win, 5 silver medals and a bronze. At the 6th best start, she's down to 7th on the split. She's only the 9th sled, and we can subtract Maya Voigt because of her start and her all-round unwellness, if that's a word. Whoa, late 13-14. Big hit, and that drags the speed out of the sled. Slowest speed, slower even than Voigt at that stage. Oh, and a horrible entry into 16. Could not have been worse other than upside down. 51.86. Yeah. I think Matthias Höpfner's face will be reflected in the head of Kim Kilicki. That was a really uncomfortable ride, and I'm sure Annabel Gallander is feeling it in the back seat. And Kim, everything that could go wrong pretty much went wrong. Look at this, late 13-14, wallop the wall going into 14. I mean, just look at the ice coming in out there. Lucky not to roll it. Annabel Gallander was way out of the seat in freefall, and out of 15, hauled it off, gets a double tap, and it's okay to hear, but look at this, almost sideways, turning hard right as the corner goes left. Over that brow, the sled goes light down at the bottom in Altenburg. Yup. Right, away goes Katy Bile with Nicola Pichler behind her. Nicola's 8th World Cup start, 61st for Katy Bile. Best World Cup result of her career, a silver medal here in November 2020. She started 5:34, a couple of hundreds quicker than Kim Kilicki. And right now, Catty Bile is absolutely on a high. A monobob is going superbly. It's been a good season. A 5th, a 7th, and a 7th so far for Catty. When you got 3 German sleds, Olympic medalists in 2 of the 3 US sleds, then being anywhere near the top 5 is a massive win. 51.67. Little ripple from Wolfgang Stamm for the coach. Who made a comment there about parking? 51.67, 6th place off a 6th best start. Slightly wide-eyed there, Catty Bile. It's so busy here. It is so busy. 1 to 2 to 3 is relatively quiet, and then it's just corner, 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 all the way down to the exit of 14 before you get to a straight. And they just hurl the sled from one corner to the next. Honestly, if you were sitting in one watching, you'd have no clue. One more before Christmas. One more. Lisa Buchwitz, Adele Nickel, Lara Knoll to the top 3 with 10 sleds down. Next up is a 2-time women's Olympic champion in bobsleigh, Kaylee Humphries. 130th race as a driver. Em behind her. Emily Renner, the 15th World Cup start of her career. 5:34 getaway. They match Catty Bile and Nicola Pichler. Now, this has not been a great track historically for Kaylee Humphries, despite the fact that she loves a track that you have to drive, like Altenburg. Altenburg probably her favourite track of them all. But she's only had 1 bronze medal in her career here. Is she going to be able to add to that? In fact, she took bronze a few years ago with Keisha Love behind her. And Lauren Alter was the race winner. 6th at the start, up to 2nd place. This is top draw, Kaylee Humphries driving. This is where the driver makes the big difference. 3rd best speed. Is she going to be taking the lead at the line? No, 200s back. Okay. Write her off at your peril. She may be frustrated that she's not the start line powerhouse that she was. But that is a driver's track, and that is a drive. Out of 11, gets the line nicely from 11. A fraction late, little tap going into 12. Out of 15 though, look at this, building on that speed. It's busy. She likes a driver's track. All right, Kaylee Humphries in the mix. What about Melissa Lottholtz? Eden Wilson behind her in only her 3rd World Cup. Lillehammer last season and Cortina this, her 2 previous starts. And Melissa Lottholtz, her 24th race as a driver. Gets in, gets down in a 5:37. Still competitive. I mean, Lisa Buchwitz and Lauren Siebert are in a whole different world of starting to anybody else in the teens, not the 20s or the 30s. Everybody else pretty much mid-20s to mid-30s. 9th at the start, out to 11th. And Melissa Lottholtz, 3 World Cup races here, a best of 10th. Whoa, little late. It is very easy to roll off 13. She didn't, but she has the lowest speed into corner 15. And across the line, 7/10 back, 52.17. Well, for a lot of the US athletes, US, by which I mean North American, US and Canadian, this is fairly unfamiliar territory. You come here once a year, you do a handful of runs, and then you don't come back. Not like the tracks in North America where they grew up, learned their craft. Lots of Europeans come here when they're younger drivers in Europe Cup before they get to the World Cup. But for the Canadians and the Americans, it's very different. And it's such it is just like being in the tumble dryer. It is such a ringer, this track. Really is. Now, next up for the USA is Keisha Love with Sadie McMullen behind her, making her third World Cup start. Raced in St. Moritz and Innsbruck in January last season. And Keisha, 17th start as a driver after 10 as a brakewoman. Bronze medalist with Kaylee Humphries in the 22-23 season here on the back of the sled. Let's see if she can rival Kaylee for a podium spot here. Bronze medalist last year with Jasmine Jones behind her. 5:34 getaway. So 6th best start. Let's see if she can keep those numbers alive. Little tap 3 to 4, better than a skid. Decent entrance into 6. Nicely into 10. Yep, and on to 11. Little early wave late off. All of these rattles and bumps take speed out of the sled. Flops out of 13. Clean out of 14, drives it away from the wall. And all of this taking a bit more speed out of the sled. Not much speed left in the track for those who are finding their way down still. 52.03, 11th place. It's been a good season so far for Keisha Love. 2 silver medals and a 4th place last time out in Lillehammer. So Keisha Love, Sadie McMullen, currently lying in 11th place, just behind Inola Blatti, ahead of Melissa Lott-Holtz and Maya Voigt. And a little bit of a rocky run down below corner 10. Out of 14, steering late, and then has to drive it away from the wall. And that was that flop from 13 into 14. You're late off 13, you're going to be late off 14. For France, Margot Bock with her old sparring partner, Carla Seneschal. This duo came up together. They were the French Programme. They've now got a couple of alternates in the team, but they have been sliding together a long time. 5:45 getaway. This is Margot's 25th women's bobsleigh race in the World Cup. And for Carla, a 15th. So 13th fastest start. Oh, little bump there, very un-Margot Bock. 12th best speed. Nice out of 11, little tap into 12. All but unavoidable. 13, 14, smooth transition. That keeps the speed alive. Kind of came out of 14 okay. 7th best speed into 15, good exit of 15. This is what she did in the mono. Built the speed below corner 11 and across the line in 12th place, 52.12. 900s behind Keisha Love. And 10th place in Inola Blatti is 2200s away. Well, they have not got the best of the ice, Margot Bock and Carla Seneschal. And the start is not the strongest suit for Margot, but boy, she drives the sled well. She's got great feel for the ice. She's a very smooth driver. Her instincts are superb. Look at this, out of 14. If anything, sled going a little too far to the right. And she just has to ease it a fraction over to her left to get onto 15 on that left-hand side. But building the speed low down on the track. For Canada, Kristen Bujnowski, first time here in Lillehammer. Did a stand-up job in the mono with Charlotte Ross, her 2nd World Cup start. Raced in Lillehammer last season at the end of the year. Buj in and down. 22-year-old brakewoman helping her to a 9th best start. That's a good getaway. A little late off 3. Quite hard onto 6 as well. Again, Bouge having to split her half-dozen training runs between the mono and the two-seat sled. Whoa, late there. There's the warning she needs to be aware of. Out of 13, nice into 14. Good transition. Little flop, but she holds it square. Good height. Brings it out from corner 15. All right, little to the left going into 16. 52. Somebody's got the Christmas spirit in the coach's box. 52.22 run, 14th place finish in the first heat for Kristen Bushnovsky and Charlotte Ross. Nice work, Bouge. Doesn't panic here. Good 13-14 transition, so she came off straight, allowed the sled to move over to the left. Nice height, just a little tap on the woodwork, but again, not hard enough to fire her down, so she's still controlling the sled and drives it nicely out of 15. First time here, good work. Here's her teammate, Cynthia Appiah and Niamh Hockey. Niamh in her 18th Women's Bobsleigh World Cup start. Twice that for Cynthia Appiah, plus 15 as a break woman. So let's see what they've got. Bouge and Charlotte Ross got a 5:35. And it's a 5:39 for Cynthia and Niamh. That's in with more races on this track than her teammate. So like Melissa Lottholt, she's got the experience. A little hard hit, 3 to 4. A little firm onto 5. 5 to 6. Late exit out of 6 as well. Again, just maybe trying to compensate for the stickiness of the track. But she's been late everywhere, late off 13 as well. Down to 15. Keeps it low in 15. She was thinking of the exit. Slaps the wall, but gets onto 16 nicely. Is this going to be close to the top 10? Just behind Margot Bock by 200s and 300s ahead of Melissa Lottholt and 800s ahead of Kristen Bushnovsky. So the three Canadian sleds are racked up, nose to tail. Appiah 13th, Lottholt's 14th, Bushnovsky 15th. So 5:39 for Cynthia Appiah and Niamh Hockey. 5:37, Melissa Lottholt and Eden Wilson. And a 5:35, the fastest of the trio for Bouge and Charlotte Ross. All right, so 16 sleds down and 3 to go. Next up, Ying Qing of China with Wang Yu behind her on the brakes again. So far this season, all 3 runs in the top 20 for Ying. A 14th to start the season in Cortina, 20th in Innsbruck, 19th last time out in Lillehammer. Let's see what she can produce. A 5:41 getaway, just a couple of hundreds behind Cynthia Appiah and Niamh Hockey. Little tap into 4. Decent 6. Dropping behind a fraction from the 14th best start. 15th speed. She's only the 17th sled down. This might just be about getting what she can out of the track rather than big expectations. These are the final couple of trips before a much-needed and well-deserved week or 10 days off. 52:43. So they come down 16th. behind the three Canadian sleds. Yinqing, 18th in the World Cup standings, just ahead of the Dane Maya Voigt. And that gap should increase. 2 to go then, and the first of our sleds now is a debutante. Amelia Cotan made her debut yesterday, 16 years old. Her 18-year-old brakewoman, Justine Betsina. Justine, a 200-meter sprinter. Her coach says she is absolutely fearless. 5 races for the brakewoman in Europe Cup and NAC, 7 for the driver. And Justine, the brakewoman, was so determined to get into bobsleigh that she drove herself to every selection, every tryout, everywhere to make sure that she showed up. 5:66 is the start, and this, like yesterday's monobob race, will likely be Amelia's only World Cup of the season. They're not going to throw her in amongst the lions. They're going to let her learn a little bit more on Europe Cup and North America tracks. And then hopefully next year she'll be part of the regular program. The first time there's been a women's bobsleigh from Latvia since the 2007-8 season, a year before this driver was born. Well, she's on her home track with friends and family, not just watching, but trackside as well. What a great moment for Amelia Cotan and Justine Betsina. Their coach, Bree Schaff, could not be happier with them. And Latvia finally, for the first time since Aiva Arpajoda in 2007-8, have a women's bobsleigh team in a World Cup race. And Amelia yesterday saying that she couldn't believe how lovely everybody was to her. Not just the Latvians, but everybody else in the World Cup fraternity. All the other drivers offering help and advice, all the other teams offering help and advice. Yeah, just wait till you start getting medals. By that stage, you'll be firmly established. So, our final sled then, and a welcome back to the World Cup for Victoria Chananska and Lucia Makrosova. This duo have not raced in the World Cup this season. It's their first of the year. Victoria in the mono yesterday, 5:58 getaway. Just 800s quicker than Amelia Cotan. And that is her battle with Amelia and perhaps with Yinqing of China. 4th best speed. Goodness me, she's doing something right. All the transponders having a moment to itself. I think it might be the transponder. 7th best speed. Well, she is flying, if that is correct, 68 miles an hour. And down to the bottom, I mean, they're nice lines, there's no question about it. But across the line in 17th place, 52.46. So 1.02 off. She's 0.03 of a second behind Yinqing, and just 1.15 ahead of Amelia Cotan. Nice looking run out of 14. Allows the sled to drift and then just eases it back to get onto the left-hand side going into 15. Well, Victoria Chananska is a good driver, and she and Lucia, it's a resolute team. Not quite as happy with that as she would like to be. So, an interesting shape-up at the top of the pile. Lisa Buchwitz, the start record holder and the leader, from Kaylee Humphreys, Adele Nicol and Laura Nolter. And the top 4 covered by 500s. Even on this track, that's basically a dead heat. Next back, 5th place, Alana Myers-Taylor, 1400s back. Melly Hasler not out of the medals in 6th, 1900s back. And Katy Bile potentially 2300s back as well. So a couple of other tight battles. Kaliki Blatty, that's 200s. And then all of the Canadians chasing Margot Bock for that effort to get into the top 10 ahead of Keisha Love and Enola Blatty. And hopefully Maya Voigt will go again in the second heat. And that will be the final run of women's bobsleigh for 2025 calendar year at 11:30 local, 10:30 Central European, 09:30 GMT, 04:30 Eastern. And that will be in just under an hour. Join us then for the final run of the women's bobsleigh here in Sigulda.